February was a really stacked month for game releases and has put a big stamp on 2026. I'm sure you're all still surviving the crucibles in Neo 3, horribly mutating cats in Mugenics, or roundhouse kicking heads off of shoulders with Leon in Resident Evil Requiem. The backlog will continue to get hammered as we go into March, as there are, once again, an enormous amount of games to get excited for. I have 12 games this month to bring to your attention. This isn't everything coming in the month, but the ones I think are most notable and you should keep an eye on. If you want to support the channel, please leave a like, subscribe, and even share with your friends. If you don't like it, then leave a thumbs down and let me know how I can be better for you. With the housekeeping out the way, let's get into the release dates. Recently announced at the Sony State of Play is Crystal Dynamics' remaster of Legacy of Kain Defiance. Last year, this developer gave us the remaster for Soul Reaver 1 and 2, and now with Defiance, they finished the story. This remaster is packed full of quality content. It boasts new HD visuals, improved camera controls, maps for ease of navigation, character skins, lost levels, concept art, lore articles, and a photo mode. Going even further than this, for the biggest fans is the Deluxe Edition, which includes a playable demo for Legacy of Kain Dark Prophecy, which was the scrapped and never released sequel to Defiance, and also a comic reader, which contains all the tie-in comics for the franchise. A story of betrayal and revenge shrouds this classic third-person action-adventure game from the PS2 era. You can get your hands on Legacy of Kain Defiance Remastered on March 3rd for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, Switch 1 and 2, and PC. Basically everything and anything you could possibly own in the year of 2026. A game that has had a rocky road up to release is Bungie's Marathon. This has been delayed a couple of times off the back of feedback received from the betas, but honestly I think that is a good thing. It shows that the developers have reacted and improved upon the player's response. Marathon is a PvP extraction shooter that can be played either solo or with a group. For those who don't know what an extraction shooter is, to summarize, the core gameplay loop is to enter the map and explore and scavenge for loot and resources before extracting out safely and using what you found to upgrade further and unlock new gear. As it is PvP, there is always the risk that someone will kill you before you successfully extract, so it is about survival more than all-out war. The loot in Marathon is really extensive, from weapon mods and attachments to runner shell implants that enhance your build. The runner shells are your class character, whether that be a tank or a silent assassin, and everything in between. Bungie have assured us that due to the extensive loot available, the players will have a lot of variety and unique combinations to discover and really make personalized builds. A steady flow of content will come in the form of seasons like most live service titles, and I think this one will stand out in this ever-saturated market for two reasons. One is the visually striking sci-fi visuals, and two is that not many do gunplay better than Bungie. Marathon releases on March 5th for PS5, Xbox Series and PC, and there is a server slam running from February 26th through to March 2nd if you want to give it a try ahead of release. Planet of Lana 2 Children of the Leaf is a sequel title that is instantly going to grab you with its visuals. I mean, look at how gorgeous it is. This game is a 2D side-scrolling puzzle platform adventure. Playing as Lana and her companion Mui, you must traverse this handcrafted world through a mysterious story which follows the events of the first game. Don't think of this as a Metroidvania. It is a puzzle platformer, much like Never, Limbo, or Inside if you've played any of those. The main attraction with these titles is always the compelling narrative alongside the amazing cinematic visuals. With Planet of Lana 2, those visuals will take us to icy mountains, deep oceans, and forgotten ruins. As this is a sequel, it promises improvements such as evolved companion mechanics, expanded story, and challenging puzzles. Planet of Lana 2 Children of the Leaf releases on PS4 and 5, Switch 1 and 2, PC, Xbox Series, and it will be in Xbox Game Pass on March 5th. From the developers behind Dragon's Quest Builders comes Pokemon Pokopia. This is a life sim where you play as a Ditto taking form of its lost human trainer. Yes, it looks as horrific as it sounds. As you explore the island, you will encounter Pokemon friends to help you build and create. Using Ditto's copy ability, your new pals will teach you moves like Leafage to grow plants, Rock Smash to break walls, Surf to traverse across the water, and Glide to cross the mountains. This game has full terraforming to change the nature around you, as well as a fully fledged crafting system. The more you build, the more often you'll encounter new Pokemon to come and stay and help you create your paradise. On the surface, it looks like a combination of Animal Crossing and Dragon Quest builders, and you know what? I'm feeling the desire to have a new cozy game enter my life when Pokemon Pokopia releases on March 5th for the Nintendo Switch 2. Following in the footsteps of the first title, Ghost of Yotei is getting a multiplayer mode with Legends. This is a free DLC for those who own the base game, which is a requirement for playing it. It is not a standalone title. Legends is an online co-op mode where you team up with others to take on the Yotei 6 in giant demonic forms. It will launch with 2 game modes, with a third coming later. These 2 game modes are Story and Survival. Story will see you team up with one other player and take on 12 missions. Every 3 missions completed will lead to something called an incursion, which is where you can tackle a stronghold with 4 players, ending in a giant boss battle against a demonic version of the spider, the kitsune, the oni, or the snake. This is the mode that sounds most like Elden Ring Night Rain. Survival is a horde-based mode with up to 4 players across 4 different maps. There is a blessings and curses mechanic implemented to give advantages and disadvantages in combat to help you get further. Within these multiplayer modes, there are also 4 classes you can choose to play: Samurai, Archer, Mercenary, or Shinobi. They all have a moveset and weapon set of specific things Atsu had the ability to do in the base game. For example, the Shinobi will specialize in the Kusarigama and stealth moves. Ghost of Yotei Legends drops as a free DLC on March 10th for PS5. A beloved horror game from 2003 is getting a remake in March. Fatal Frame 2: The Crimson Butterfly is a survival horror title that follows twin sisters Mio and Mayu as they get cursed by a failed ritual and trapped in a haunted village. The remake sees vast graphical and audio improvements, as well as some modernizing of the gameplay. There is now free moving camera controls, interactable environments, motion matching for better animations, quality of life controls for the game's main weapon, the camera obscura, and a whole new willpower system that adds a layer of difficulty. Sometimes with remakes there is extra content added, and that is the case here with additional side stories, new areas, and even a whole new ending for the story. It doesn't replace the original ending, but can be achieved if you complete a certain route. The developers have said this can be approached and enjoyed by both new players and fans of the original alike. There is a demo coming on March 5th which will carry your progress over to the main game when Fatal Frame 2: The Crimson Butterfly remake releases on March 12th for Xbox Series, PS5, Switch 2 and PC. A series I have never played is Monster Hunter Stories. I have played several Monster Hunter games, but the story series I have not touched. The main difference of these two sides of the coin is that in Monster Hunter Stories, you become a rider and form a connection with the monsters to fight alongside them. It is an RPG with a strong narrative and gorgeous art style, something I think it seems to do much better than its hunting-focused sibling. In Monster Hunter Stories 3, you can ride your monster to fly across a huge world, as well as use them to battle alongside you and any other monsters on your team, which are called monsties in this game, in traditional turn-based combat. There is also a whole raising monsters gameplay loop where you can hatch monsters, protect and preserve ecosystems, and use gene mixing to either save a species from extinction or breed a powerful ally for your team composition. Stories definitely sets itself apart from the other branch of this series, and I actually might make this the first one that I try when Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection releases on March 13th for Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series and PC. Long dubbed the Everything game, Crimson Desert is finally releasing in March. This is a massive, sprawling, open world RPG which has so many gameplay systems it almost seems too good to be true. It is a high fantasy setting with several races living alongside the humans, mystical forces, warring factions, dragons, and even a mech. Crimson Desert does not have a character creator though, and there are actually 3 protagonists you will play as on your journey, which signals to me it is a more rigid story path. This is not necessarily a bad thing, as sometimes the silent protagonist route isn't the best one. This title sees third-person action combat and each of the protagonists have their own fighting style. In some of the overview trailers we have seen this different combat and its fast-paced nature. One uses a sword and board, one with an axe, and one seems to specialize in magic. To accompany this combat are the epic boss fights, of which I'm sure this game has several over and above the ones shown off so far. There is also a deep focus on exploration and discovery. You can climb anything and in some instances practically fly across the world. There are many caves to dip in and pillage their secrets, many puzzles to solve, and even something called the Abyss, which introduces its own traversal difficulties. You can help villagers and towns with mundane tasks or take on bigger quests to reset the balance of power by overcoming strongholds. You are doing all of this whilst also trying to rebuild your own faction and progress the main story. Crimson Desert looks like that kind of title where you sink hundreds of hours into it because of the drive of seeing something off in the distance and walking over to it. It could be comparable to something like the modern Zelda games, Elden Ring or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 with its side quests, exploration and sense of adventure. There is a lot of potential in this game and I hope it delivers when Crimson Desert drops on March 19th for PS5, Xbox Series and PC. One of last year's Game of the Year nominations, Death Stranding 2, is coming to PC in March. This is a sequel to Hideo Kojima's notoriously weird Delivery Man game. I personally loved the story of Sam Porter Bridges and the world that feels so meticulously handcrafted with unique lore and characters. Death Stranding 2 does everything bigger and better than its predecessor, whether that be narratively, visually or musically. The characters, particularly the antagonist, are captivating and it is easily one of the most beautiful games of this whole generation. The PC port will see upscaling, frame generation, ultra-wide support, DualSense support and uncapped frame rates. Interestingly, this also marks an ever-shortening period of PlayStation exclusivity, as this is only 9 months after its PS5 release. PC players can see why this game was so critically acclaimed last year when it comes to the platform on March 19th. My biggest question mark for March is Life is Strange Reunion. The reason why I say this is because I am a massive fan of this franchise, with the first title one I hold dear to my heart. Reunion is a sequel to 2024's Double Exposure, which, of course, was a sequel to the first title in the franchise. I have a lot of issues with Double Exposure, and Reunion is set very shortly after the events of it. This game features the return of fan favourite Chloe Price, which if you are familiar with the first game already doesn't really make sense, but I won't judge a book by its cover yet. For those not in the know, the Life is Strange franchise are narrative first games where a lot of the gameplay revolves around your interactions with characters, the relationships you build and the choices you make, often leading to different endings. Regardless of my mini rant to start, the writing of these games is usually very strong and often will be memorable experiences. The visuals are also a highlight, with them being far improved over the earlier titles, and the music is always stellar. No matter what happens, I know I'm probably going to be sobbing my eyes out when Life is Strange Reunion hits on March 26th for PS5, Xbox Series and PC. We are returning to true PS2 era arcade races in March when Screamer releases. It features a satisfying twin stick system where you steer with the left stick and drift with the right. You can play single player or multiplayer across several modes that include a tournament story mode, various challenge modes, custom races, team races and ranked matchmaking. Amazingly, Screamer also supports couch co-op for up to 4 players split screen, which really is a blast from the past. The gameplay mechanics are relatively simple and lean on 2 main aspects, sync and entropy. Doing basic racing things like staying in the slipstream will raise your sync, but it will also passively increase across the laps. Sync energy builds to use boost and shift, which are moves to increase your speed, or shield, which protects you from attacks. When you use a sync move, you build up the other energy, which is entropy. With entropy, you can strike, which attacks other racers, or use overdrive, which is an ultimate that speeds you up and attacks at the same time. But if you hit the sides, you will explode yourself. This simplicity is the perfect ingredient for a fun and easy to pick up arcade racer. Each of the Screamer vehicles have their own special properties on top of this, so you can figure out who your favorite is going to be. Screamer releases on March 26th or 3 days earlier for the deluxe edition owners on PS5, Xbox Series and PC. We start the month with Legacy of Kain and we also finish the month with it. Legacy of Kain Ascendance was the most unexpected entry onto this list simply because it was completely completely unknown until about 2 weeks ago. This title takes the dark and gothic Nosgoth and repackages it into a high-speed, side-scrolling 2D action platformer in pixel art graphics. It looks awesome. There is a high focus on speed and movement, with both combat and traversal tied to a stamina meter. This leads to careful and precise gameplay, but apparently not at the cost of speed. There will be all the abilities you come to expect from a 2D platformer, like gliding, evading, aerial dashing, and it even has multiple playable characters to experience. Ascendance also stays true to what made this series so popular, and that is the narrative and deep characters. It has a story tied to Nosgoth's lore, as well as a fully voiced cast for dialogue. This one is a nice surprise, and what a treat that it's coming out so soon, as Legacy of Kain Ascendance releases on March 31st for PS5, PS4, Switch 1 and 2, Xbox Series and PC. That's everything that I think should be highlighted in March, but as I said at the top, it is far from every game releasing in the month. There are big annualized games like WWE 26 and MLB The Show 26 also dropping, smaller titles like Nevergrave and Greedfall 2, and even a game I love getting a sequel hit early access with Slay the Spire 2. If there are any games you want to bring to people's attention, please write them in the comments below. If you enjoyed the content, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, or if you didn't like it, then leave a thumbs down and I will try to be better next time. Check the channel for my recent review of Final Fantasy VII Remake, as well as a quick look for Pragmata. Keep your eyes peeled for upcoming reviews of Romeo is a Dead Man and Reanimal, and for everything else, casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.